All right, let's dive into Culpa Mia and Culpa Tuyo.
Okay.
You've sent over a bunch of fascinating analysis on these films,
Yeah.
and you seem particularly interested in the family dynamics,
Well,
specifically through the lens of MBTI personality types.
that's really interesting. Yeah, you've picked up on a family that seems,
Yeah,
you know, perfect on the surface, but underneath there's all sorts of things going on.
absolutely. And we've got Rafaela and William Leicester,
Right.
this seemingly perfect power couple.
Yeah.
The sources paint Rafaela, the mom, as a classic ESFJ.
Mm-hmm.
The consul and her husband, William, he's an ENFJ,
Right.
the protagonist.
Now, for listeners who maybe aren't super familiar with MBTI,
Right.
that means that both Rafaela and William are led by extroverted feeling.
Yeah.
So they're all about creating harmony. They're very attuned to other people's emotions, and they radiate warmth.
Exactly. And one of the sources even mentions how in sync they are,
Oh, yeah.
especially in social situations. It
Uh-huh.
says they project this warm and welcoming family image.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like they're the poster family for harmonious living.
Right. But here's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Even though they share that dominant extroverted feeling function,
Yeah.
their other cognitive functions are quite different.
Uh-huh.
And that can actually lead to some pretty fascinating clashes.
Okay. I'm all ears. What kind of clashes are we talking about?
Well, Rafaela's secondary function is sensing, or psi. This makes her super grounded in tradition, the past, concrete details.
Well, wait.
Remember that scene where she insists on having that family dinner every Sunday,
Oh, yeah.
even though the boys are clearly not into it anymore?
Yeah.
Classic psi.
Totally. I mean, William seems much more flexible, right?
Absolutely. As an ENFJ, William's secondary function is intuition or nigh.
Oh, okay.
He's all about the big picture future possibilities.
Right.
And sometimes that clashes with Rafaela's focus on the here and now.
Oh, that reminds me of that scene where William brings home the super abstract sculpture
Oh, yeah.
and Raphael's just completely baffled by it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't compute for her.
Right. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And this difference isn't just about aesthetics.
Right.
You know, it plays out in their decision-making, too.
Uh-huh.
So imagine William, fueled by his big picture,
Mm-hmm.
me,
Mm-hmm.
decides to invest in a risky startup.
Okay.
Rafaela, with her grounded C, might panic about the potential for financial instability.
But wouldn't William's need, being future-focused, also make him consider the long-term security of the family?
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
And, you know, it highlights how complex these dynamics are.
Mm-hmm.
William probably does believe his ventures will ultimately benefit the family,
Right.
but his approach might feel reckless to Rafaela.
Okay.
It's like they have different definitions of what security even means.
So even though they're both driven by creating harmony and caring for others,
Yeah.
those underlying cognitive differences can create some serious friction. It's like they're speaking different languages when it comes to making decisions.
Totally.
Or even expressing love.
Oh, you've hit on such a key point there.
Yeah.
One of the sources even suggests that their definitions of love might clash.
Wow.
So Rafaela might express love through practical acts of service.
Yeah.
You know, always making sure everyone's fed, the house is spotless.
Mm-hmm.
But William, with his focus on the future,
Yeah.
might express love by pushing his sons towards independence,
Interesting.
even if it makes them uncomfortable in the moment.
Wow. I bet that creates some interesting tension.
Yeah.
Especially for the kids who are caught in the middle
Right.
of these different approaches to love and care. It's just a classic setup for family drama.
Right, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack next.
Okay.
How do these contrasting personalities and parenting styles impact Nick and Noah, the sons?
Perfect. I can't wait.
So welcome back to our deep dive into the Lester family. Now, before we jump into like how Rafaela and William's dynamics impact their sons,
Yeah.
I think it's important to just remember, you know, the MBTI is just one lens
Right.
to view their personalities.
Oh, for sure.
It's not about putting them in boxes.
Exactly. We're not saying MBTI's destiny or anything.
Right.
It's more about understanding their tendencies,
Yeah.
their default modes of operating.
Exactly. It gives us a language to talk about those subtle
Yeah.
differences that can create friction in relationships.
Okay. So with that in mind, let's talk about the kids.
Okay.
Starting with Nick, the older son.
Yeah.
Your notes suggest that he's feeling pulled in opposite directions by his parents.
It's almost like he's in this tug of war between duty and ambition.
Interesting.
So on one hand, you've got Rafaela, the ESFJ mom,
Right.
instilling a really strong sense of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
emphasizing, family traditions and obligations.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you've got William the ENFJ dad,
Right.
who's urging him to dream big, to chase his passions.
And this push and pull seems to be extra tough on Nick because, based on your analysis,
Yeah.
he might be an ISTP or an INTP.
Right.
So leaning toward logic and practicality.
Exactly. If Nick is a thinking type, he might struggle to meet Rafaela's deep emotional needs.
Right.
Remember that scene where she tries to hug him after like a tough day
Oh, yeah.
and he just freezes up?
Totally.
It's like he doesn't know how to respond to
Yeah.
that kind of emotional expression.
And that probably makes him feel guilty.
Yeah.
Like he's letting her down somehow.
Absolutely. And on the flip side,
Yeah.
if he's more introverted,
Okay.
like an INTP,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, reach for the stars energy from William could be overwhelming,
Right.
even
So-
suffocating.
It's like he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't.
Yeah.
No wonder he seems so conflicted.
Exactly. It's like he's constantly trying to balance these competing expectations
Yeah.
and just trying to figure out who he is amidst all of this noise.
Which brings us to Noah, the younger son.
Yeah.
Now he seems to be dealing with a whole different set of challenges.
Oh, totally. Noah is fascinating
Yeah.
because he embodies this paradox.
Okay.
So he's receiving constant care and attention from Rafaela, who's, showering him with acts of service, creating this super cozy home environment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's craving independence,
Right.
pushing back against that very care that she's giving.
It's almost like he's rejecting that ESFJ smothering.
Well, maybe not consciously rejecting it.
Right.
Remember, ESFJs are all about providing for the people they love.
Yeah.
But for someone like Noah, who might be an ISFP or an ESFP,
Okay.
all that structure can feel stifling.
Right. These, what are they called? Perceivers?
Yeah, perceiving.
In MBTI,
Yeah.
they're all about spontaneity.
Yes,
Freedom, going with the flow.
exactly. For those unfamiliar with MBTI, perceivers tend to prefer flexibility and keeping your options open.
Right.
So imagine Noah
Yeah.
with his, potential perceiving nature,
Mm-hmm.
constantly being told what to do, how to live his life.
It's no wonder he acts out, pushes boundaries, takes risks.
Exactly. Think about that scene where he steals his mom's car and goes on a joyride.
Oh, yeah.
Classic rebellious behavior, right?
Oh.
But it could also be his way of asserting his independence,
Right.
saying, hey, I'm not just an extension of you. I have my own needs and desires.
So his bad boy persona is actually a cry for autonomy.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And symbiotic care, which we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
refers to this dynamic where a parent, often unintentionally,
Right.
creates a sense of dependency in their child.
Interesting.
It's like they're so intertwined that the child struggles to differentiate their own needs,
Yeah.
their own identity from the parents.
And this dynamic can be especially pronounced in families with really strong personalities.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the Lesters.
Yeah.
It's almost like the kids are living in the shadow of their parents,
Yeah.
struggling to find their own light.
You've hit on such a key insight there.
Yeah.
It's not just about MBTI types.
Right.
It's about that universal human need to differentiate,
Yeah.
to break free from those early patterns and become our own person.
Now, I'm curious about this perfect family facade that we talked about earlier. You hinted that there might be some cracks in this seemingly idyllic picture.
One of the things that struck me in your notes was this emphasis on harmony.
Oh, yeah.
It's like everyone in this family is tiptoeing around each
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
afraid to express anything that might disrupt the peace.
And that's because both parents, with their dominant extroverted feeling,
Right.
are so focused on keeping everyone happy,
Yeah.
maintaining that smooth surface.
Exactly. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Suppressing emotions doesn't make them go away.
Oh, right.
It just pushes them underground where they can fester and erupt in unhealthy ways.
So all that bottled up emotion, that unexpressed tension,
Yeah,
it's creating a kind of emotional debt.
that's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that this pressure to maintain harmony
Yeah.
isn't just coming from the parents.
Okay.
It's often a reflection of these broader societal expectations.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the Lester family. We've covered so much already. Their personalities, their relationships, even this idea of emotional debt, lurking beneath the surface.
Right.
But I'm really curious to hear more about what you started to touch on.
Yeah.
How their story reflects broader societal expectations.
It's such an important point,
Yeah.
and it really adds another layer to their struggles.
Right.
Think about it, the Lesters, with your traditional setup,
Mm-hmm.
stay-at-home mom, breadwinning dad.
Yeah.
It's almost like a microcosm of what society often presents as the ideal family.
And like we talked about, while that structure might seem harmonious on the outside,
Yeah,
it can create some pretty serious limitations for
yeah,
both parents,
for sure.
especially Rafaela.
Absolutely. Society puts so much pressure on women,
Right.
especially mothers,
Yeah.
to be the perfect caregiver, homemaker, emotional support system for their families.
Yeah.
And it's just so difficult to navigate,
Mm-hmm.
even for someone like Rafaela,
Right.
who seems to genuinely enjoy those roles.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like she's fulfilling that societal expectation perfectly, but at the expense of her own needs and desires.
Exactly. And let's not forget
Yeah.
that society often undervalues the contributions of caregiving and domestic labor.
Oh, God.
It's often seen as less than a career in the public sphere,
Yeah.
which can lead to feelings of, frustration and lack of fulfillment.
That's such a good point. So it's not just about individual personalities clashing.
Right.
It's also about these broader societal forces at play.
Exactly. And it goes beyond gender roles, too.
Okay.
There's this immense pressure on families in general
Mm-hmm.
to project this image of perfection,
Oh, yeah.
have it all together, be happy all the time, never show weakness.
That reminds me of the Leicesters' obsession with harmony.
Yeah.
Like, they're so afraid of conflict or negativity,
Yeah.
they just sweep everything under the rug.
And that's such a common coping mechanism.
Right.
But it's not healthy in the long run.
Yeah.
By avoiding these difficult conversations, they're actually perpetuating this culture of silence,
Right.
which can be so isolating for everyone.
It's almost like they're trapped in this performance
Right.
of the perfect family,
Yeah.
too afraid to let anyone see behind the curtain.
And that pressure to conform can be incredibly damaging,
Yeah.
especially for kids.
Right.
They might learn to suppress their own emotions,
Mm-hmm.
hide their struggles,
Yeah.
because they don't want to disappoint their parents
Right.
or disrupt the family's image.
So how do we break free from these harmful societal expectations?
Mm.
How do we create families that are more authentic,
Right.
more accepting of imperfections?
Well, it starts with awareness.
Okay.
Recognizing those ingrained beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and assumptions that we hold about family, gender roles, success.
Yeah.
Questioning those narratives that tell us we have to fit into a certain mold.
Then it's about challenging those limiting beliefs
Yeah.
and starting to rewrite the script, so to speak.
It's exactly
Yeah.
giving ourselves permission to define family on our own terms,
Okay.
creating a space where individual growth and fulfillment are valued,
Yeah.
alongside collective harmony,
I love that.
and advocating for a society that celebrates diverse family structures
Mm-hmm.
and recognizes the value of caregiving in all its forms.
That's such a hopeful vision. It's about moving beyond these rigid societal norms,
Right.
creating a world where families feel supported
Yeah.
and empowered to be their authentic selves.
Absolutely. And while the Leicester family's story might highlight these challenges of navigating these expectations, it also offers a glimmer of hope,
Okay.
a reminder that we have the power to rewrite the script
Right.
and create families that are both nurturing and empowering.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener,
Yeah.
as you've journeyed through this deep dive with us?
Right.
Consider how these societal forces might be shaping your own family dynamics.
Think about it. What roles have you unconsciously adopted?
Mhm.
Are there unspoken expectations driving your behaviors?
Wow.
And most importantly, how can you create a family culture that embraces authenticity,
Right.
vulnerability, and the full spectrum of human emotions?
These are powerful questions to reflect on. And remember, there's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
It's about embarking on your own deep dive,
Exactly.
exploring what family truly means to you,
Yeah.
and creating a space where everyone feels seen, heard, and loved for who they truly are.
That's the beauty of it. It's
Yeah.
about constant exploration,
Mm-hmm.
growth, and the unwavering belief in the power of love
Yeah.
to transform even the most challenging family dynamics.
Well said. That wraps up our deep dive into the Leicester family
Yes.
and the broader societal forces at play. We hope this exploration has sparked some insights.
For sure.
It maybe even inspired you to continue exploring your own family dynamics.
Remember, family is a verb, not a noun.
Oh, I love that.
It's about the love, the connection, the shared experiences that we create together day by day.
And until next time, keep diving deep, keep questioning,
Yeah.
and keep embracing the beautiful messiness of family life.